3.14159265535. Hey y'all, it's JB, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a recent hobby of mine. It's a very specific hobby. I've been working on memorizing pi a little bit at a time, and the little backstory to this is that, one, I have, for most of my life, really struggled with memorizing numbers, remembering numbers. Struggled with numbers in general. I'm self-diagnosed with dyscalculia, and some of the ways that can manifest for me is that I have a very difficult time doing mental math. I'm almost 40, and I still have to count on my fingers sometimes. I have a great deal of difficulty remembering dates, a number of things, but I have sort of a different perspective on it now that I'm an adult and I've learned to approach math, for instance, differently. I have a great appreciation for it now, and I also understand that I'm not necessarily bad at it. My brain just processes it differently, and since I've been able to get a handle on how my brain processes math, I can enjoy it a lot more now. But as a child, my inability to remember numbers, my inability to do certain types of simple math in my head, that was a source of a lot of embarrassment and low self-esteem. So when I saw this documentary called Memory Games on Netflix not that long ago, that's all about these memory athletes, people who memorize things competitively. When I saw this documentary and learned that these people don't necessarily just have this innate skill for it, they train and practice, and they also use all these interesting methods for remembering things, I challenged myself to see if I could remember a really, really long number, as long a number as possible. I thought that would be a good exercise for myself, having spent so much of my life embarrassed about my number memorization skills. So I hope some of you will take that to heart, knowing that I still struggle to remember my poor mother's birthday, but at the current moment, on a good day, I can recite, I believe, 104 digits of pi from memory using some of the methods that I learned about in this documentary. So I really want to emphasize that I am not a memory athlete. I'm not an expert on any of these topics. I'm going to be talking about my understanding of some of these different methods and how I use them. If you are interested in any of these methods, I definitely recommend that you research them more, check some more credible sources than me, just in case I'm getting anything wrong or I'm not quite understanding correctly. It's also quite possible that anything I describe, there may be a fuller picture or a wider application, because I'm just going to be giving you an overview for some of these things and how I use them. Okay? Alright, so to begin with, let's see. I started to use one method for memorizing pi, and I began with 3.1415926 5, 3, 5, 8, 9, 7, 9. Okay, so this is what I started with, and I found a specific video on YouTube by a man called Ron White. I will link to that video in the description box. And he has a way, and basically all of these methods that I'm going to be talking about involve not just remembering numbers, but associating numbers with something more memorable and then memorizing those things. So, in Ron White's video that I first started with, he associates each digit with a different image, which will help you remember the numbers, and then he has you place those images on your body from top to bottom, so that helps you get them in order. So 9, for instance, is a balloon. So you imagine a balloon tied to the top of your head. 2 is a duck. You imagine a duck sitting on your nose. 6 is a gun. That wouldn't have been my personal choice, but it is memorable, and that's sitting on your mouth area. Then moving down, 5 is stars. So you imagine stars coming out of your chest very dramatically. 3 is a triangle or a pyramid, and you picture a pyramid kind of sitting on your abdominal area. Then 5, once again we have stars dramatically bursting forth from your hips. Downward we have on your knee, we have a little snowman to represent 8, so you picture a snowman on your knee. With 9, once again we have balloons, so you imagine this balloon tied to your shin, maybe your leg is lifting a little off the ground from the balloon, pulling it upwards. 7 is a pair of dice beneath your foot, on the underside of your foot. So you imagine these 2 dice pressing into the sole of your foot for 7. And finally, for 9, we have just the room is filled with balloons. Okay. And what I forgot to mention is that in his video, he kind of is just like, look, it begins with 3.1415, and just remember that. He doesn't really give a technique for that part. So you're expected to just keep this part on your own, and then this sequence of images placed on your body will get you through 9, 2, 6, 5, 3, 5, 8, 9, 7, 9. So I began here, and this is how I memorized this first little chunk of pi. And then, to get further with it, I switched to another method, which is maybe a little messy to switch methods partway in, but I had all of this pretty well committed to memory. It was pretty well sunk into my brain, so I figured I would just keep this and then move on to the next method. Okay. Now, the next method, well, it's actually a series of methods. We're going to talk about something called the major system. We're going to talk about something called the PAO system. And then we're going to talk about something called memory palace, or method of Loci. It's L-O-C-I, and I've heard it pronounced a few different ways, but you know what? The guy I saw who pronounced it Loki, which looks right to me, he had a very sort of posh British accent, so I assume he must be right. Okay. Major system is going to teach us how to assign certain letters or consonant sounds to numbers. So it's going to give us sort of an alphabet for numbers. which we can then use to turn numbers into words and images. The PAO system will teach us how to further organize the major system. And then the memory palace will teach us how to take what we learned here and organize that indefinitely so that we can have a long, long string of numbers and make sure that we get everything in the correct progression. Okay. I do want to quote, there's a woman named Yenja, and she is in the movie Memory Game. She has a YouTube channel as well. And I recall her saying that all of this is so much easier done than said. And you'll see as I go through this that this may begin to sound very complex, possibly even confusing, or like it might take a long time. But it's something that once you work through it and kind of get it down and put that initial time investment in, it begins to seem quite simple. I know when I first started, it was very overwhelming, but now it feels quite simple to me. The challenge at this point is just sort of practicing and expanding it. Okay, so for the major system, what we do is we can assign, and this is pre-assigned, there are certain letters or sounds that are assigned to each single digit number. And this is just an overview. I might not get all the letters or sounds. I'm not going to explain the reasons why they're associated, just to give you an overview. In the major system, 0 is S, Z, or soft C. So C is in cerulean or cellophane or cyan. 1 is D, T, TH. 2 is N, 3, M. The number 4 is R, 5, L. 6 is J, D, G. It's J and Ch sounds. So J, D, G, C, H. I think there's some more, but these are the ones that I mostly use. 7 is K, or a hard C sound, like C as in cookie. So we have K, either way. K is 7. 8 is F, or V. Finally, 9 is P, or B. So with this major system, we can use these letters and sounds to create words that will be representative of certain numbers. For instance, if, and you can do these in combinations, you can do, for instance, you could say the word book. Because it begins with a B, you could say that that's just the letter 9. If you just want to remember the 9, you could remember the word book. Or, which is what I do, if you wanted to use this system to remember 2-digit numbers, what you could do is say B is 9 and K is 7. So if you needed to remember the number 97, you would have book. Okay? I think some people go even further with this and they create words so that they can remember 3-digit numbers, but that's a bit beyond me. I'm happy at this level. Okay. So, to give you a few more examples, if you wanted to remember the number 20, just say 20, you could say N is 2, S is 0, 20, nose, okay? And then you can use it for people as well, right? So say I wanted to remember the number 58. Well, then we could say that 5 is an L. And with people, it's good to kind of do initials. So let's say Leonardo da Vinci. L is 5. V is 8. All right? Now, PAO system. Let me make sure you can see all that. PAO system, person, action, object. Okay? So if you're only working with the major system, that might be fine for remembering short numbers. But once you want to start getting into longer strings of numbers, you want to find a sort of systematic way of organizing them. And person, action, object is a great way for doing that. So, like in the example that I gave you down here, one section of pi, there's a place in pi where the numbers 5, 8, 2, 0, 9, 7 show up, okay? So what we can do here, because we said 58, is Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci is 5'8". 2, 0 is nose. And that can be an action. You know, you can nose something, push something with your nose. That's something we normally associate animals doing, but people can do it too. And then 9, 7 we said is book. So to remember the numbers 5, 8, 2, 0, 9, 7 in sequence, we can picture Leonardo da Vinci sitting at a table. There's a book in front of him, and he's sort of gently pushing the book across the table with his nose. So Leonardo da Vinci, the for Vinci, nosing a book. Leonardo da Vinci nosing a book. If we can keep that image in our head, we can remember 5, 8, 2, 0, 9, 7. Okay? And that brings us to our next step, which is the memory palace, or the method of Loci. I've heard this pronounced a few different ways. I'm just going to go with Loci. Actually, I'm just going to say memory palace, so I can kind of skip having to say that altogether. But basically, the idea of a memory palace involves memorizing something in sequence by taking a place or an area that's very familiar to you and placing the things that you need to remember on like a walk through that place. So say, for example, you wanted to, let's say, remember a series of dates that go in a row. You might, maybe there's a walk that you take each day. Let's say you have a long walk to your mailbox, and walking to your mailbox, you go out your front door, you pass by some bushes, you step over a curb, you cross the street, and you get to the mailbox. Okay? So you might place the first set of numbers right outside your door, the next one by the bush, the next one on the walkway, the next one on the curb, and then the next one sitting at the mailbox itself. Okay? Now, these are each separate systems and can be used independent from each other or mixed with other methods, but these are the ones that I use together. So, this is not the layout of my home, it's just something that I printed off for an example. But what I've done is I've used a combination of the major system and the PAO system to break pi, or the part that I've memorized anyway, down into 6-digit segments, and I place them in different places, points in my house. So I go in my front door, and in my example I go in my front door, there's like an entry area, and then I walk towards the dining area and into the kitchen. But I'm going to use this diagram that I found online as an example. So let's say this is your home. You would take your first six-digit segment and put it right outside your front door. Okay? So in your imagination, you see yourself walking up and seeing that first 6-digit sequence, which you have translated to be Leonardo da Vinci nosing a book, or what are some of the other ones I have? Katy Perry fanning a deer. Okay. Any of these really vivid person, action, object triplets. So first segment is here. You walk in. I'm not sure what, let's say this is like an entryway side table thing. Your second person is maybe sitting on top of the side table, doing the action object combination that you've come up with. And then you walk over here. Right outside your kitchen is the third 6-digit segment. You go into your kitchen, and then you see the fourth 6-digit segment. You come back out, you start walking this way. Your fifth set of 6 digits is sitting on the couch, doing whatever. You walk this way. The sixth segment is here in the bathroom. Come back out. 7 is standing right in the middle of your dining room table. We have another 6 digits here, which translate into a person doing something. Then you poke your head into the guest bedroom here. 8. And then go over to your bedroom. And just inside your bedroom is the 9th 6-digit segment, and then right here on your own bed, the 10th. So in this example, if you have broken the number you're trying to memorize into 6-digit segments, using the major system and the PAO system, right here, just by assigning those numbers to little images and placing them in a specific order in your house, right here, just in this home here, you could memorize a 60-digit number. And after practicing it a few times, probably remember that 60-digit number quite easily. Okay? So, as I mentioned, my method's a little bit messy because it starts off with that Ron White method that I told you about, and then I switched to this whole segment. But as an example, when I'm doing it with my home, I have the 3.1415, 9, 2, 6, 535 8979. Then I switch to this, and what I see right in front of my front door I see Moana from Disney's Moana moving a rash. So I have this image of Moana, and she's got a little red rash on her arm, and she is somehow magically with her other hand kind of like pushing the rash, and it's actually moving up and down her arm as she pushes it. And that sounds very bizarre, but that's kind of the whole point here. The more bizarre or interesting or strange these images are, the easier they're going to be to remember, the more vividly they're going to stick in your memory. So here, this first segment is Moana. So we have the M and the N, which is 2, 3, 2. And then moving, we have the M and the V. So that's 3, 8. Rash, so the R is a 4, and the sh, that is 6. So Moana moving a rash is going to be 3, 2, 3, 8, 4, 6. And then I go inside and I go through my sequence, but with my S and not this one. So I know that might be a lot to absorb, but I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration to show you how it works for me. 3.14159 2 6 5 3 5 8 9 7 9 3 2 3 8 4 6 2 6 4 3 3 8 3 2 7 9 5 0 2 8 8 4 1 9 7 1 6 9 3 9 9 3 7 5 1 0 5 8 2 0 9 7 4 9 4 4 5 9 2 3 0 7 8 1 6 4 0 6 2 8 6 2 0 8 9 9 8 6 2 8 0 3 4 8 2 5 3 4 2 1 1 7 0 6 7 9 8 2 1 4.